in reverse chronological order for the Zodiac. So, officially welcome to the second half of the August 2023 astrology Zodiac preview. Don't know why I said it like that. So, Virgo, you know who you are. You know what you like. You like your details. You like your objectivity. You like your logic. You like your reason. You like things to make sense. And you like it when your hard work and attention to detail pays off. Well, I have some good news for you this month, astrologically speaking. I'm just trying to get these to balance so you can actually see the full cards. My dad actually pointed out that you couldn't see the bottom. So now, of course, I knew it was an issue, but when someone else points it out, it is driving me nuts. So you should appreciate that, Virgo. I'm trying to get the attention to detail correct. So there's a lot of energy going on in August, regardless of sign. But for you, Virgo, there's a lot more about like you need to be creating space and honoring your freedom. Now, it's easy to get caught up in the little things. It's easy to get caught up in the details that can kind of block you from seeing these broader or general themes that are taking place. But Mercury here, who's very important for you, is retrograding right as Virgo season starts. So we have that wonderful little polarization of energy. And it's also going to be squaring off against Saturn, opposing Saturn at one point, which is really putting the focus on accountability, maturation, responsibility. So these are themes that you don't mind tackling, Virgo, but you may be accustomed or may have a pattern in terms of a coping strategy or just how you deal with the world where you get caught up in the details and the little things so you don't have to focus on the broader issues that are taking place. So a lot of your emotional work, of which there will be a lot this month, right? 2 full moons. We got the blue moon, the last day of August. We have a sturgeon moon in Aquarius, the first day of August. So we have a lot of this emotional energy coming into us and just feeling all of these things throughout the month. Where it's really going to hit you is where you feel kind of held back and kind of restrained, because you do need the freedom and flexibility to pursue your dreams and what you care about. It can't always be compromise and stepwise basic jumps in progress at the what's the word I'm looking for? At the damage, just that's not it, it'll come to me, but at basically to the detriment of your broader dreams, your broader desires, your big stuff in life, right? Now, there will be some compromises probably that you'll have to make in relationships, and that's really not a bad thing. It's just you can't always be the person in charge and in control. I know there's probably some control freak tendencies depending on where your Virgo placements. If you're Virgo moons, you may be very subjected to or very used to, obsessing and ruminating over things, especially if it comes to feelings of self-worth or your own kind of ability to be seductive or be attractive. You can maybe go back and forth on that and kind of give yourself a hard time. But it is important to really know and flex what is important to you and communicate that clearly. Like, there's a lot of communication that needs to be going on from your end, Virgo, and you can't expect others to intuitively understand what your needs are. You like to be aware of all of the things that are going on, but it's another thing to also then be communicating your realizations and kind of just what you're picking up along the way. You don't want to internalize that only for yourself, because then you run into potential issues where there's misunderstandings and kind of miscommunications about kind of what's important for you in your relationship and in your life. Okay. The Virgo season, right? Like I said, it's about to be your birthday month-long period, whether you have a birthday in September or August or September. Your Virgo season kicks off. Yes, you do have Mercury retrograde hitting right as it kicks off, but is Mercury retrograde just like the Venus retrograde that's taking place here? Is more about reflection and how we can reflect back on our patterns. For Venus, related to love and relationship. For Mercury, related to communication. What can we reflect on to kind of see what's gone right and what's gone wrong? So you may find yourself revisiting situations both emotionally and in actuality. You may be replaying themes that have been going on in your relationships, or themes related to just trying to get things done logistically and bumping into potential detours and things like that, and reviewing what the purpose of those detours and issues may have been. It's not necessarily that you have to experience a ton of those going forward. This month, like I said, there's a lot of emotional energy. The moon is really cycling through very quickly in August, and we just want to be aware of that and appreciative if our feelings are getting pinged or there's something going on emotionally that we just don't think like, okay, well, there's something wrong with me. I'll just get through it and that'll be that, because it's going to be a pretty omnipresent thing throughout the month. Another thing I just want to point out when it comes to the finance realm this month, I think a lot of long-term financial goals will probably be the theme. Don't get too caught up in the nature of your finances for this month. This month isn't necessarily an exact microcosm of your broader long-term financial or career success, right? But this is a good time to really start honing in and focusing on what your long-term goals are related to finance and career. Really start, if you haven't been thinking about those things, start jotting down, get some organization going about what your long-term financial goals and really where you want to be directing your goals, your energy when it comes to money, and like energetically how that looks and what you would even appropriate or potentially spend on. It's never a bad idea to start thinking about that clearly. It's more about that than actually like this month being reflective of just your overall money goals for the rest of the year or the rest of your life, right? So it's about planning and thinking about broader subjects related to money and career, not focusing in on acute issues, which, you know, let's be honest, Virgo, you like to focus in on the minutia. You like to go into the nitty gritty, cross your T's, dot your I's, really dissect something, even before you potentially understand it. So was this reversed? Someone in the chat, let me know if that's reversed. I feel like it wasn't, or it was rather. I think this is right. So logic, efficiency, and communication remain big themes in August for you. Make sure you're really thinking things through. Again, the communication aspect of it is essential. Take advantage of those weeks where it starts, the first 3 weeks where there isn't Mercury retrograde going on. Yes, the shadow period does start 5 to 7 days before Mercury retrograde hits and ends, but still there's going to be enough time for you to clearly communicate, especially what your emotional boundaries are and what is working and what's not working. I want to be very clear about that before we jump into the cards. In matters of relationship, you have to communicate what your boundaries are. You have to communicate what is something that might be potentially bothering you. Yeah, it's not always convenient. It's not always fun. It doesn't always make things feel so great when you have to communicate those things. But if you're with someone who you are in an honest and open relationship with, you need to communicate those things, because then it gets distorted and weird. You can start to resent someone else for things you haven't even explained that they're doing that might be making you upset, and vice versa. There may be things that you are not letting them come to you about, so you're kind of putting them in that position. And rather than that, just kind of getting in and festering and, you know, polluting the context of what is probably a beautiful, wonderful relationship, you need to like stand up for yourself and communicate exactly what your needs are and what your boundaries are. People really don't dislike that. You know, there's this idea that if we stand up for and are vocal about the things we want, maybe someone won't like us, maybe they'll leave us, maybe, you know, they'll be in a situation where, oh, let me start the Virgo thing. You know, they're in a situation where they realize maybe we're not that interesting, we're not as fun as, you know, we originally seemed, whatever the fears are. But like, I'm just telling you, like, if you're in a relationship and you don't communicate what's important to you, you're kind of dooming that relationship on a level until you really do realize that that's an important thing, because you have to put in and have to communicate clearly about what's going on. Yes, there will be some compromise at some point. It's not always going to be you getting your way or your partner getting their way. It's just there has to be some compromise in relationships sometimes. And usually it's not a big deal. Usually the compromise isn't like a deal breaker for most people. Okay. Anything else? Oh, one thing for Virgo suns, or really for any of you, wherever your Virgo placements are, check out, especially on the last day of the month when that Pisces blue moon happens, find where your house is and just see which house that Pisces sign is falling into. It may be a couple of them, but just look and see what the main house is, because that is going to be something that really is being tugged at emotionally for that full moon, that second full moon in August, right? It's pretty rare to get a blue moon. We got a blue moon. That's why they say once in a blue moon. It's like literally means rare. Okay, let's look at the cards. The World, Page of Swords reversed, Ace of Pentacles. Okay. So we have one major card and then two, meteorology. Two number-ish cards, although this is a face card. So, oh my gosh. The World is, if we look here, see the 4 cardinal signs, right? Scorpio, Gemini, Leo, Taurus, and Scorpio is the eagle, by the way. So or is that Aquarius? That might be Aquarius, the person. No, that's pretty sure that's Gemini. So what we're seeing here is a portal, right? We see the woman with the 2 wands or staves in the middle, and we see the 4 zodiac signs, and we see the Ouroboros sign with our symbol, which is that oval with the bindings around it, and also sometimes shown as a snake eating its own tail, right? So this is really like the portal of the world that is opening at any given point for you to kind of step through the mystical gateway and really kind of pierce the veil, lift the veil, whatever terminology you want to use, to enter kind of that mystic gateway of being in communion with the divine. And what do I mean by the divine? I mean that aspect of consciousness that is the generative creator of your reality. And the beautiful thing of that is it's you. Right? That's ultimately you. It is not some extra being. You know, it's not the aliens who are now here or have been here allegedly telling us what to do. There's not a bearded man in the sky who's specifically saying you do this or you do that. You can envision goddesses, gods as archetypes, as fairy tales, as whatever mystical energy you want. That doesn't negate that it is a thing and that it does exist and it does shape and create your reality. So ways of entering this, it's easier to feel that energy. Sometimes it's a little more difficult and we kind of have to work towards it. Virgo, for you as an earth-based sign, things through the body might be incredibly useful for you to experience the divine, whether that is exercise physically, even just eating food, it could be sex, but modalities that use the body, certainly yoga or other body work, even massages, things like that, those things help you commune with that divine aspect. And getting clear about which ones are particularly helpful for you helps you set up a routine and organization that you can follow through with and use that as kind of reliable tool that at any point is available to you. And that's your access. That's your gateway point to these kind of mystical states of being. The world also encompasses every single thing that happens to you in your life. That's the world. The world isn't just out there happening to other people. It is your world where everything you see projected on the screen of reality encompasses and interfaces with your specific consciousness. This is why when we look out in the world, there can be multiple people looking at the same events in the same circumstances and have wildly different opinions and perspectives on what's going on, because it's not the same shared world. We'd like to think it is, but we actually have our own specific takes on what reality is and how it functions for us. So making a conscious choice to walk through these creative gateways, to take more on of a leadership role when it comes to creating and engaging with your reality, is something that everyone has to figure out as they walk through life. And the more awareness we can bring to that process, the more freedom, flexibility we have, and that can lead to greater feelings of joy and fulfillingness and all the things that I think people generally want to experience, right? When we look at the Page of Swords reverse, we're actually dealing with a lot of change rolling through. One thing that's consistent, regardless of whether this card is upright or reverse, is the clouds moving signified change being ushered in. How fast are they moving? How do we know that they're moving? We can look at the tree on this side. So hard to do this. On the tree there, and it's blowing pretty intently. And what this really has to do with is not so much change coming in and ruining things. It's kind of blowing away old ideas, old conceptions. And this certainly would have to do with kind of speaking your truth, speaking your power, communicating your boundaries. If you want to be clear, and right, swords is an air sign, so we want to be clear mentally. We want to be clear up in the psychic realm. It's very important for us to get straight that when change comes in to kind of sweep things away from us that have kind of like maybe been holding us back or even confusing us, we embrace that wholeheartedly. But it also means if we're starting some new idea or some new conception of something, we need to take the time to actually understand what it is that we're doing. And again, Virgo, for you, that goes with a lot of planning. It goes with a lot of kind of maybe even writing things down, making lists. I don't know any Virgos who don't like making lists, so get out your handy dandy, whatever you use to make lists, and start really kind of planning out and even comparing and contrasting what ideas make sense to you and what ideas don't. And you can be like, well, what do you mean? Like maybe there's a new project that's coming that you're thinking about. Maybe there's something at work where they need a kind of solution to something that hasn't been easy for anyone else in the organization to figure out. Or maybe it's your own business and you're just trying to figure out what direction to go in, or maybe there's a trip. It's just really whatever you have to make a decision on, taking the time to get clear about what that is kind of propels you forward. And I know that kind of like it's a bit of a platitude, and like of course that's just common wisdom, but actually doing that and actually taking the steps to organize your thoughts, right, imprinting them in reality, actually goes a really long way. And then finally we have the Ace of Pentacles, and this was relating a bit to what I was talking about in terms of these long-term financial goals, these long-term kind of visions fiscally, what they mean to you. This is a new path, right? We see the Ace, that's akin to the 1. It's the first sign of Pentacles. Pentacles, earth signs related to your earth and Virgo-ness. This is just the material world, and we can see here the peak in the distance through that arch is blue, right? And we do a little color alchemy in the tarot. Blue, we're looking at emotions, right? So something related to money is absolutely connected to your emotional realm. So money is an energy. It can be used for anything, right? It can be used to abuse people. It can be used to help people. It can be used to flex your wealth and feed your ego. It can be used to give things and be charitable and help people and friends and communities that are underserved. It's just a neutral energy. So your relationship to it, you got to figure that out on your own. You're going to hear endless perspectives about money is this, money is that, money is the root of all evil, money is the facilitator, and it makes life more comfortable. It's up to you to really get straight about what it means for you, but know that it absolutely has something to do with your emotional worth, right? It shouldn't define your emotional worth, but it can certainly inform your emotional worth, that is, how you use money, what your long-term goals are. I think for a lot of us, we just think, oh, well, I'd like more money. That's my goal. I'd like more money, which is the least specific and surefirest way to make sure you do not attract more abundance in your life, just because you're not being specific at all. It's the vaguest kind of request of the divine you can, offer up. It's like, well, I'd like more because. Well, because why? Start answering those questions. Go a little bit further. Is there something you'd like to purchase? Would you like to purchase the ability through having money to have more flexibility in your schedule? Maybe to spend more time with loved ones? Like, these are all subsets of questions that it should be easy for you to start breaking down what you would be using this for. Almost like a tree level kind of system of like what this would be used for. Virgo, the more writing down, the more organization you can do when it comes to long-term goals, the easier it will be for you to stepwise take those steps, take those initiative each step of the way to kind of get where you're going. So again, this is a really great month when it does come to those emotional introspective times, which is a large part of the month, including your Virgo season. Really take the time to write a lot of this stuff down. It's particularly important for you because it helps you get organized. It helps organize your thoughts. Now, if you're the type of person who can just do this inside of your head and you really don't need to physically write something down or type it up or voice notes even, this isn't to say you have to do that. I've just found that it's a lot easier when you actually take the time to write this stuff down, when you actually take the time to plan it out in a real organized fashion rather than just kind of jumbling thoughts in your mind. But hey, that's just me. I'm not you. You certainly, if that's something that organization stems from inside of your mind alone, go for it. The important thing is just to do it, okay? Judgment. See, I'm trying to get the cards to show, but then they just sloid off. Fuck it. There we go. And 3 of Swords. The 10. We can see the 10? Yeah, 10 of Wands. Okay. Judgment. 10 of Swords reversed, or 10 of Wands reversed. 3 of Swords. Okay. So Judgment is one of my favorite cards in the deck. That's Archangel Gabriel blasting his trumpet, his horn, his bugle. I think it's a trumpet. A bugle has a curve, right? So blasting this down on these wonderful naked people who are holding their arms up in the cosmic plea and pose for salvation and mercy. And trumpet player Gabriel does not blast his trumpet to condemn these people, to say you are not worthy, to say, no, go back, you have sinned too much, please go do penance for me, or just, be mean to yourselves on my behalf. No, he's blasting and saying, I got you. You guys are good. You can drop all these false narratives about how you're not worthy. You can start tapping into confidence and courage and self-confidence. These are things that everyone is entitled to. There is no person who is not worthy of that in any way, no matter what you look like. The nakedness symbolizes pure vulnerability. And that's how we actually ask and offer things, is by being authentically vulnerable. Vulnerability is something that a lot of people are not comfortable with, especially people who think maybe showing outward signs of emotion is equated with weakness. But nevertheless, like, true power, true courage comes from being vulnerable. It's not how strong you are physically, emotionally. It's not how smart you are. It's not how much money you have. It's none of those things. It's not how many drugs you can take and still have your shit together. Ultimately, it's how vulnerable can you be, and how can that vulnerability lead to change, and how can it promote a healthy way of being, where you can learn from being open and direct. So this has a lot to do with communication, and it has to do with this step of really being able to ask and trust yourself to bestow, mercy. Like, are you going to be gentle with yourself? Are you going to ask for forgiveness internally of yourself for ways that you've wronged others or you, right? That's an important step. It's a really powerful card, and it's a very stark reminder that, like, we do need to be vulnerable in order to receive kind of the gifts of forgiveness. And it's all an internal process. I mean, yes, you can do this for external situations and people in your life, but ultimately this is an internal process of surrender and vulnerability, something that will probably be tested in August for you. I mean, there's, like I said, there's just a lot of energy and emotion going around in August, and a third of the month is in your sign, right? Virgo season starts. So just be prepared for all of that emotion to kind of flow in. If you find yourself a little guarded, remember that opening yourself up a little bit actually leads to much more powerful, transformative energy that I think you will likely benefit from. Okay. Then we got the 10 of Wands reverse. We love to see this card reverse, because 10 of Wands upright means, well, you definitely still have a little bit more to go in terms of the heavy weight that you've been carrying. The burden that you have been lugging around for quite some time, when we see it upright, it signifies, yes, there's still a little bit more way to go. Reversed, it can be that you just feel like it's never going to end, but more likely than not, it signifies you're ready to put this shit down, like, for real. Like, whatever this burden you've been carrying around, put it down. Like, it's time. You've reached the destination. There's no need to be carrying this around. Even if you have to drop it and bring it a little bit further and come back for it, these all don't need to be delivered together. This burden is not something that's meant to weigh you down for this long. It's time to get over that. And these really usually have to do with matters of the heart, especially for things we actually really care about. That's what gets us to hold on to stuff for a really long time, almost to where it becomes painful at times, is because we really care. And when we're dealing with wands, we're dealing with the fire element. So themes related to action, movement, passion, that's what we're talking about. So there's definitely something going on in August, which is just going to come to a head, and you got to make the decision, like, nah, I'm not carrying this burden anymore, right? It doesn't mean you burn bridges. It doesn't mean you're rude. It doesn't mean you end a relationship abruptly because this person's a dick to you and you're just not going to take it anymore. Of course, honor yourself if that's the case, but it just means no, you're not going to play this game anymore. It's not for you. You're done carrying this weight. It's too heavy. It's too much of a task. It's not actually getting you the thing you were wanting to get. It's just adding to the stress and tension in your life, and it's not worth it, truthfully. And then finally, 3 of Swords here. Now, what I would say is, yes, this can be, matters of the heart and kind of a love triangle. That's the common interpretation. An interpretation that I heard a while ago that I really subscribe to is it usually has to do with contractual obligations. Now, that can be, yes, an actual contract like, getting married or getting divorced or signing a business deal or buying a home. Absolutely can have to do with that. And if those themes are taking place in your life, to pay particular attention to the 3 of Swords rather. Very important kind of to recognize the contractual energy, but also it can have to do with energetic contracts that come up. And this absolutely means relationships. It absolutely means obligations or responsibilities that you find yourself in or have committed to in one sense of the word or not, whether explicitly or you just find yourself in a situation where you're kind of on the hook and your obligations include doing something. And it can feel restrictive, but that's why I want to mention what I said at the beginning. This is kind of the vibe where like, you got to be like, you know what? I need some time. I need to make sure that I can go within, make these decisions internally, come back, communicate what my boundaries are, and say, yes, I recognize I am in this situation with you, or I'm in this situation with this organization, but I really need to honor myself at this moment. And it's not that I'm not going to honor this commitment. It's not that I have intentions of kind of reneging on it. Contract is, I'm not saying to rip it up. I'm not saying to tear it up or blow it up energetically, but this is more about your side of things right now. And sometimes, you got to be on the other side of that. And someone else may need that space, and someone else may need that kind of ability to wiggle through something. But for you, it's like, don't let contractual obligations kind of stop you from doing the things that you need to do, right? There's a whole degree and spectrum of, responsibility. Interesting stuff, Virgo. Oh, no. These were the last. Pig Spirit. Haven't seen that one in a while. Use your mind wisely. Gotta love that, Virgo. And it's about clarity of thought there too. Like how do you use your mind to like actually work through situations? Crow Spirit, co-create with Spirit. A lot of that energy too. Like, you do it together with yourself. Does that make sense? It's kind of a weird thing to say, but Spirit is you. You, the divine, you are the divine. And then Cow Spirit. The miracles are endless. And I think there's a lot of that energy. I can feel that too for you, Virgo, in August. Like there is this innate awareness and connection to the divine that should be there pretty prominently for most of the month. When you tap into that energy, use it lovingly. Use it to help shape your dreams and realize and construct beliefs that allow you to reach out and actually touch that stuff. It's not this thing in the distance that maybe one day you'll get. It's like actually plan for it. That's one of the best things you can use your planning and organizational skills for is like plan as if, right? As if this thing has already happened, as if it is already underway and happening. Make plans for it, right? Maybe even go and plan like if it's a trip, plan out the itinerary. You don't have to book the tickets yet. You don't have to have the actual place, but go through the thought exercise of actually planning what you would do. Maybe it's in a relationship. Maybe you're not in a relationship right now, but you want to be in one. Plan out the things you would like to do. What's your perfect date? What's your perfect day? What's your perfect weekend? That type of stuff. Act out the scenarios, really write down and organize themes around them and see how that makes you feel. See how you react to it. Often when I say these things, yes, there's one component of manifestation where that absolutely helps when we just really write as though this thing is locked into reality. Put something on your calendar that maybe doesn't exist, but maybe should go there. It's not necessarily about expecting the specific outcome like that will happen, but it is a wonderful gauge and litmus test to see how you react to it. How do you react when you plan something that isn't really there, right? Are you at the point where even though it's not there yet, you know it's an inevitability and it's going to work out amazing and this somehow magically is going to work and the miracles really are endless? Or is it like, oh, this is like kind of silly. Why am I wasting my time doing this? I'm just kind of wishful thinking and thinking that I'll somehow be able to, make something happen with my imagination. Yeah, good luck. Just see how you're reacting to it. That's all. There's nothing more that you need to do than that. And then you can get back to me and tell me if it works or not. How about that? Don't take my word for it. Maintain your childlike spirit. It's just good advice for everyone. But Virgo, really, that's when you're at your best. When things don't get overly serious. And Virgo, yes, you are one of the more serious signs. That's not an attack. It's not, I think you actually appreciate that. You do want to be making sure that things are balanced and fair. Much like Libra, who's right next to you, fairness and accuracy are important themes for Virgos. And that means if it falls in your moon sign, matters of your heart, your feelings, your intuition, you need to be clear about what those are. If it falls in your sun sign, it needs to be actually what you're doing with your life needs to involve things related to organization and planning. And if it's Venus, that means in the ways of love, the little things really go a long way for you. Your Venus placements will tell you a lot about what kind of love you respond to, what type of lover you are when you are loving someone. So whether you're in the relationship with a Virgo placement or you yourself are a Virgo placement, understand that the little things add up to these big, expressive, kind of harmonious moments. And also, if your rising is Virgo, you may not feel like that. You may not relate to Virgo at all, but I guarantee people see aspects of your personality that are very Virgo-esque. And having an understanding of what those qualities are can go a long way when it comes to communication with other people, because that's how they're perceiving you most likely. And it's, an interesting kind of system to get used to because, there's the way people perceive us, there's the way we express ourselves, and then it's the way we feel, right? Our moon. So there's a lot of energy this month. It's going to be pinging you tremendously. Just make sure you take some time for yourself. There's nothing wrong with that, right? There's nothing wrong with honoring yourself and saying, you know what? I got to be alone for a little bit. I got to kind of work on my shit. I kind of got to get myself composed so I can figure out what it is the fuck I'm supposed to be doing. Because if I don't take that time, I'm just going to feel lost and floundering all over the place, and I'm going to be of no use to anyone. You don't want that, Virgo. Manifest. We were just talking about it, right? And I do think, again, that writing down, acting as if is a very powerful tool for you, Virgo. Probably as powerful as any tool in the arsenal, just because, you have that organization property to you. Movement, too. Yeah, again, it's very action-based this month, Virgo. It's not sitting still. Even if you're alone, it's not sitting still. Right? It's really making sure you're getting out and doing this shit. Don't just think about it. Here's the biggest caution for the month of August for you. Do not believe that by thinking about these things alone, you are somehow affecting major change in your life. You need to do the things. You need to write this stuff down. You need to talk to your partner. You need to talk to your boss. You need to take practical, actualized steps on the project you're interested in doing. You need to set yourself up for financial success by looking at all the things that would potentially lead to that. It's not all up here this month, Virgo. It's getting out and actually doing these things are the key kind of factor I'm trying to convey. Don't stay just in your mind. Get out there and ask your body, right? Virgo, it rules the 6th house, which is the house of health. So your body, Virgo, is always an excellent way. It's a really good barometer for understanding where you are, all places in life, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, of course, physically. But it'll give you insights into maybe what you need to work on, right? If you're dealing with themes of anger or rage, stuff like that, you just can't control it, maybe take a look at what you're doing with your liver. Right? Each organ corresponds to various, positive and negative qualities. So if you can identify, and you're probably pretty good at identifying where your faults may be, where your strengths are, see kind of how you're treating that physical organ. And this leads me to one other thing. Oh, I know, I just figured out what I'm going to do for you. So I just started downloading these HemiSync, synchronizing the hemispheres of your brain together from the Monroe Institute. And if you are a patron on the Patreon, when I post the replay of this live stream, I will also include a HemiSync link to a series of tracks that you can listen to with headphones before you're going to sleep at night. It's really amazing stuff. I've been really having a lot of fun with it the past week. I've been using it. That's for patrons. That's patreon.com/synchronicity. That'll be up in the next day or two if you want to access those. Totally free once you're in the Patreon. They're really awesome, and I think I know exactly what I'm going to pick for yours. If you're doing that and you have an iPhone, I suggest you download an app called Vox. It allows you to play high-quality, uncompressed audio files. This isn't a sponsorship or a paid promotion or anything. It's a free, there is a premium version, but it allows you to listen to these things in very high quality, which is how you're going to want to listen to them. So I'll be picking out a HemiSync track for you, Virgo, this month, specifically related to this reading and the energies you can expect in August. And you can, of course, download the other ones from the other Zodiac signs if they speak to you, too. Remember, you're going to have 4 placements, up to 4 placements, if all of your signs are in different places, right? So you have your sun, moon, rising, and Venus placement. So all of the readings are applicable for those. When I say, hey, this is for relationship stuff, that's going to be typically for Venus placements, but it does not exclude all of the other placements for that. So yeah, let's pull 3 more. Yeah, there is a resurrection taking place. The Lovers, we like that. And then 9 of Cups, or 10 of Cups, rather. That's some heavy shit. So it does seem that there's some relationships going on for some of you Virgos that we need a little more clarity on, eh? Okay. All right. If there has been betrayal in the realm of romance or partnerships recently, which has certainly likely led to some disconnect, know that you turn the page by acknowledging what didn't work. What about that relationship do you think went wrong? Were you overly invested? Were you maybe overly kind of energetic about it? Or maybe just the opposite? But I'm absolutely sensing there's at least a few of you Virgos who maybe have had some tension in the romance department. This is a really good month in August to kind of take stock of what happened and what led to these emotions kind of being unfulfilled in that relationship. And certainly if you are in a loving, committed, happy relationship, disregard this. But cards like this don't come up unless there's at least a few people who are dealing with some issues in the romance department. And that's okay. Please don't take it as a final statement on your ability to be loved or love. The upright Lovers card in the middle is a reminder that cosmic union is not only more than possible, it's likely. So please remember that and keep that as like a dream alive for you. Make sure you don't make this too serious of a game for yourself. This is a kind of a fun performance. If it starts to get very heady and you get caught up in your thoughts in the realm of romance, that's not what we want, okay? And it is a transitional period in the realm of romance for you and intimacy. So you may be going through some big shifts and movements in the relationship department, but ultimately it is there to serve you. It's not there to hinder you. It's not there to hold you back. It's interesting this came out here. This is like very specific stuff. So I'm sure at least one of you are like, holy fuck, what are you talking about? And a lot of this is a reminder to kind of just like cut loose and be yourself. Don't let other people tell you who you need to be and what you need to do. That's really not what it's about. It's about you honoring your own self, your own strengths, your own abilities, and doing that shit. If someone's trying to keep you down, it's time to keep it moving. It's that simple. All right, Virgo, yeah, you have a very emotionally intense month. Intense does not mean bad. It does not mean you're going to be going through the ringer. It just means try to take the time to catch some alone time for yourself. Connect with partners, but be clear about what your boundaries are. Very, very clear. And you